in costing by reading your book only. And we have wonderful sessions in the students' conference conducted physically by Vijayawada branch in the previous years, where so many students were motivated and benefited from your session. And your sessions will inspire not only students, sir, but also members. Thank you so much, sir, for accepting our invitation in spite of your busy schedule. Thank you so much. Now I request Secretary Sikas of Vijayawada branch, Guma Syamala, to introduce our today's speaker, C.S. Arnath.
Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, madam. Good afternoon, my dear friends. This is Shamla, Vijayawada Sikasa Secretary. B. Servan Prasad is a graduate in Commerce and a fellow member of the Institute of Chartered Accountant of India. He secured 4th rank in the Madras University in his graduation examinations. He did his Chartered Accountancy articleship training under the tutorship of G. Shekhar, Chennai. He secured the 1st rank in the Chartered Accountancy final examination, securing 76% in the aggregate. He also secured the 3rd rank in the intermediate examinations and the 10th rank in the foundation exams. His academic performance includes 99% in CA final accounting paper and 96% in CA intermediate auditing paper. He is a practicing chartered accountant in the firm Shekhar Associates, Chartered Accountants, Chennai for the past 20 years. His areas of specialization includes accounting standards, accounting systems, cost accounting, management decision making, direct and indirect taxation, government accounting, and system audit. He is a faculty member for students of CA Inter and CA Final at SIRC of ICAI and its branches. He is also a faculty at Regional Training Institute of the C&AG and the Income Tax Department, Chennai, and other management development and professional training institutions. He is a career guidance counselor for students and has regularly addressed many career counseling programs called Vajikati, organized by Magazine. His one-to-one session have many CA students achieve success with high marks. With a view to transmit his experience on approaching the examinations and to erase the exam phobia from the minds of students, he has co-authored a book titled Guidance Notes for Passing the CA Exams. He is the author and co-author of around 30 books for the CA students. His style of communication, techniques of approaching the subject, guidelines for preparing the examinations are quite popular among students. Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am.
And now I request Sarana Prasad sir to present upon the class.
Thank you so much, madam. Thank you for the nice words of introduction. I begin by thanking all the office bearers, all the members, students of Vijayawada branch for giving me this nice opportunity to share a few thoughts of mine, how to crack CA examinations, a topic which I love to share my thoughts on. And I know in the past I have spoken on this many times. Vijayawada holds a very special place for me in my heart. So many of my students are very successful chartered accountants there. And also all the student community, they are very vibrant and energetic. And this program is not just for those who are attending the program today in this time period. It is available for later view also. So thank you for thanks to Vijayawada branch for giving me this opportunity so that it will be useful to a very great number of students across the country. Now the issue that we are going to consider, very nice afternoon time, 3 to 4 p.m. So the issue that we are going to consider is how to win, how to succeed in the chartered accountancy examinations. There may be students, they are now in October month. There may be students who are going to sit around this time in December month, 3 to 4, etc., sitting inside the examination hall. And those of you who are listening in, eligible to appear in May 22, then November 22 and all that. So you will be having a need for knowing what exactly is to be done. And let me share a few thoughts. Am I eligible to speak about this? Yes, with God's grace, with my teacher's blessings, I was able to secure very good marks in the examination, as during my introduction it was read out 96% in auditing paper, which was a surprise to me because I thought theory paper, every question they will reduce 1 mark. Nobody will give full mark for any theory question. My marks became a revelation. Oh, if you write properly, you will get full marks even for theory questions. Calculation, the institute is ready to award marks. 99% have got in accounting. Not just me. So many students, after that, so many students have scored a lot of marks, big marks in the examination. So today's discussion will be about how to reach there, how each one of us can aspire to be reach there, not just merely aspire, and also do some work so that we really reach there, right? That is the purpose of this session. I would start by keeping a very simple, I'm not going to complicate things and all. I don't look at something extraordinary. Sir, great people, what do? No, they do ordinary things properly. That's it, as simple as that. Sir, think differently, act differently, not at all required. Think normally, act normally, that is sufficient. We have been thinking normal, we have been acting normal for 12 years in school. If you add the pre-KG and all that, play school, preschool and all that, no. So effectively around 15 years, we have been thinking very properly. Then after that, what happens? Suddenly in the name of professionalism, professional course, I have to do this, something special I have to do. No. Professional is a person who does his work properly. Simple. If I go to any professional, a medical professional, a legal professional, a finance professional, anybody, if I go to a professional, my assumption is he will do his work properly. In the same way, we also are expected to do our work properly. So you are all preparing for an examination, a professional examination. Even for one moment, do not think that you are a student. Please start thinking from now onward that you are a professional student. You are not just a student, you are a professional student, a professional course student. In the sense, professionalism is not something that you will acquire suddenly after getting the CA final examination mark certificate. Professionalism, becoming a professional, is not an event, it is a process. I repeat, becoming a professional is not an event. It doesn't happen on a particular day. It is a process. It is a continuous process. It gets refined day after day after day after day, and it culminates in getting the certificate. So let us work towards that. So very simple point. Please bear this in mind. Whatever we are going to discuss today, I want you not to just attend this conference. Also be attentive. Do not attend merely, be attentive. Do not hear, please listen. Hearing will have only single time impact. Listening will have multiple impact. Take it into your mind. Have, have some thought process on that and try to see how much you can implement out of whatever we are going to discuss now. Then, another important point I would like to tell you, people say, I am studying seriously for my examination. Hey, not at all required, yeah. Don't study seriously. Study sincerely. That is sufficient. You need not be serious. You can be serious about so many other matters. In fact, beyond an extent, if it affects your health, you should not be serious about anything. Leave alone this accounts or auditing or costing or management or financial management or anything like taxation or anything like that. You need not be serious. It is sufficient if you are sincere, right? With these initial opening remarks, let me tell you how to open up this process. We all study in information technology, input, then process, and then output. Input, then process, and then output. Now, this is the order that we read from left to right in the textbook. But if you are defining a system, you should first define the output. Based on the output only, you should identify what is the input required for getting that particular output, and then also define the process accordingly. Why are this much technical terminology you are using? I will give you a simple example. In household, suppose we are calling some people for food, for dinner, or lunch, something like that. Lot of planning goes about into how many people we have called, what is the menu. Based on that menu only, we have to decide what vegetables and what fruits, etc., and in what quantities. that should be defined based on that. Also, we need, before finalizing the menu, we need lot of other inputs. Totally how many people are there? 9 people. No, not sufficient. We need the profile of these 9 people also. How many senior citizens are there? How many infants are there? They cannot be counted as one. Infants cannot be counted as one for the purpose of cooking. Senior citizens are there, means we have to take certain special care. Also, we need to know what day is it. Is it a regular day or is it a fasting day? So whether any item has to be kept aside, etc. So many things go into one simple act. Output, what we want, is based on proper planning. And that output first has to be defined. After that, we identify what is the input required and what is the processing required. A simple example I have given you. I would not like to take any outlandish examples. So role model, celebrity and all that. Great role models are not at all required. I will come to role models later during the course of my speech. Let us look at simple things. The idea is to look at simple things around us, learn from that and see how much we can implement to the extent it is applicable in our own case. Very important. Just because somebody is doing something, let me copy and do the same thing. No, it should first be applicable in my case. If it is applicable, I will do it. And if it is not applicable, I will not go near that. As simple as that. So keep things simple and work like that. So output based definition. So what is that we want in the examination? We want very good marks in the examination. Very good marks, how to get? There are certain criteria. First, you should write all the answers. Sir, one question left in choice. Okay, leave it in choice. Write the other answers. Right? For 100 marks, you have to write the examination. For that, you have to develop writing speed. Right? This is the output required. So corresponding input and process required. 100 marks I have to write. I wrote for 40 marks. I didn't pass the examination. How will you qualify if you have written only for 40? So you cannot expect to write for less. Write for 100 marks. That is one requirement. Then write answers properly. I would like to use these words. You have to write not just answer, not just correct answer, correctly correct answer. Sir, your English is not correct. Fine, I don't mind. If the intention is okay, my words are only towards that intention. In India, we speak English in very different forms. I speak the Tamil English. There are people who speak the Telugu English. Bengali English is there. Malayali English is there. So we have we see diverse way of speaking English language. So I will take shelter under that and then tell you, you should not write correct answer. You should write correctly correct answer. I will give you a small example. Those who are writing or preparing for CA final examination will find this very easily directly connectable. Those who are writing intermediate examination, when they come to final, they will understand. But right now, they can look at the example as it is. In CA final syllabus, there is a topic called budgetary control. CA final syllabus, there is a costing paper. There is a topic called budgetary control. In that, one of the topics, one of the sub-items in that topic is styles of managers in relation to budget. Styles, S-T-Y-L-E-S, styles of managers. 3 styles are identified. Budget constrained style, profit conscious style, and non-accounting style. I'll repeat, budget constrained, profit conscious, and a non-accounting style. Budget constrained style manager will try to comply with budget, so spend only what is there in the budget. Profit conscious style manager, little bit more spending also. If it is effective for the company, good. He will go ahead with that extra spend, little bit extra spending, overall effective, fine. A non-accounting style manager will not look at the number at all. He says, if it is necessary, go ahead, spend, but don't look at the number. Look at customer satisfaction. Look at repeat orders from the customer. Look at what is the feedback that I have got, employee satisfaction of having completed the job, etc. He looks at the non-financial indicators. This is all right for understanding purpose. Suppose in the examination, there is a question on this to write about the 3 styles of managers. What does the valuer expect? He expects the keyword, right? He expects the keyword that is found in the standard theory. Theory contains certain keywords. I will tell you the keywords also. A budget constrained manager will be focusing on short-term compliance with budget. Short-term compliance with budget. That is, I should spend only within the budget. Short-term compliance with budget. Then a profit conscious manager will look at effectiveness of his decision in the long term. Effectiveness of his decision in the long term interest of the entity. Then a non-accounting style manager will look at non-financial performance indicators. Will look at non-financial performance indicators. I gave you 1 or 2 examples. This is the expected answer in the examination. This is the expected answer. Now, if you look at the extent of writing that you need, topic, budgetary control, subtopic, the styles of managers, then side heading, 3 styles. One is budget constrained, profit constrained, profit conscious, and non-accounting. And then 4th level, keyword. First point, I should write effect compliance with short-term goals. Second point, I should write effectiveness in the long-term interest of the entity. Then third, I should write non-financial performance indicators. So up to the keyword, I will repeat topic, subtopic, then side heading, and then keyword. Up to the keyword, you should write properly in the examination. If that keyword matches with what the valuer has, you will find that you get full marks for your answer. Sir, how do I know what the valuer will have? There is standard literature. That standard literature is available in CA Institute study material. It is also available in the standard textbooks. There are materials which are given in every subject by the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, and it contains too much theory. That is one way to avoid reading what you want. The other way is to read it properly, as simple as that. Therefore, up to that level, you will have to remember and write it as it is. You cannot substitute with any other word. You cannot change the side heading. You cannot change the keyword with any word of your choice. You have to write as it is. Sir, can't I write anything on my own? It's a good point to write on your own, but in the examination, as much as possible, use the keyword. You put other words and all on your own, but keyword cannot be missed. I will give you another example relating to income tax. Colloquially speaking, we refer to somebody, that person came, that individual came. Like that, we refer colloquially. That person, that individual, right? In income tax, we all know that person is different, individual is different. Person is a bigger term, individual is only one category of person. So you cannot write, when the question talks about the residential status of an individual, you cannot open your answer saying that a person is said to be resident in India. You have to say an individual is said to be resident in India. Sir, I meant that only. You didn't mean that. English is okay, but tax is not okay. You are not writing merely English paper. You are writing tax paper. So you have to write the keyword as it is. Like that, across all papers, in inter and final, do not change the keyword. Write the keyword as it is. Sir, which means I have to memorize. Yes. That is the output required. So look at, see how we are able to plan, no? How much memory we will need. What, when I open my textbook, what should be my orientation? So which means I have to mug up literally what is available in the textbook. I am not using that word mug up. Mug up means without any purpose. Here, memorize with an intention. I will have to remember this keyword and write it properly in the examination. My dear friends, we all know that the Chartered Accountancy course is very famous for the pass percentage. Very famous for the pass percentage. Different interpretations come out of the pass percentage and all that, right? Let us be very clear. There are so many people who write the examination. There are a few people who write the examination properly. The first category of people who write the examination will not qualify. Second category of persons who write the examination properly will certainly qualify. So let us not look at pass percentage and all that. Let us look at our individual affairs. Am I going to write the examination properly? If the answer is yes, am I going to prepare for that properly? You should get an S for that answer or that question also, and then work accordingly. Very simple. So don't look at pass percentage. Don't look at the environment around you. Look at what you have got to do. We all remember the story in Mahabharata as Drona was trying to teach all the Kauravas and the Pandavas about the archery skills and all that. What impressed him was the Arjuna's single-minded attitude. He did not see the tree. He did not see the leaves. He did not see the parrot. He was looking only at the parrot's eyes. That alone was visible because Guru said, hit the parrot's eye with your arrow. So he was looking only at that parrot's eye. So that is the level of focus that we will need. Single-minded focus. The focus requires that you remember the information effectively for the examination. So let us try to work towards that. So which means I have to memorize all this. Let us be very clear. Memorizing and all is not for you alone. Everybody has to memorize something or the other in their respective area. Very simple. I go to a medical professional, a doctor. After diagnosing me, he looks at me for a very long time and then looks here and there and all that. I get a doubt. I ask him, doctor, is my illness so serious that you are yet to write a medicine? He says, no, I forgot the name of the medicine. Next time I will not go to him. Forget a medical professional. The AC mechanic comes to our residence. He opens the AC box. After that, he looks up and down and then says, sir, I forgot what to do next, and scratches his head. Next time we will not call him. As simple as that. Memory is something which anybody and everybody require. We require a specific memory in order to meet the examination requirement. Let us work towards that. So the level of output required. So theory answer, there are two types of answers that we need to write in the examination. In addition to the third variety called MCQ, multiple choice objective type question you have in certain papers, not in all papers, right? So for that, you have to, we will come to those MCQ related preparation and all shortly, right? After doing the other. The other two types are calculation oriented areas and theory descriptive answer. I have just now given you two examples of how specific and how correctly correct your theory answer should be. One example is in relation to income tax, individual versus person, and then another example is in relation to the budgeting styles of managers that I gave you. Please bear this in mind and let us try to be specific in writing the answer as it is. Now, when it comes to calculation, the intention is not to get the final answer. The intention should be to show every step, every part properly. Again, I will take income tax example, right? So income tax offers a lot of niceties for quickly conveying a few points. We all know income from house property, computation and all that. Very simple heading, simple calculation. Suppose a person has a let out property. For the sake of simplicity, let us assume that annual rent, I repeat, annual rent received is equal to 1 lakh. This is part of a bigger question, computation of total income of the assessee and all that in income tax, right? So income from house property is there, annual rent is equal to 1 lakh. No other information is given in relation to this question. No property tax, no interest on housing loan, no unrealized rent, no complication, simple case, right? 1 lakh. Now, this computation of income from house property is a 2-mark step in the examination, 2 marks. Our friend writes, we will call this person as our friend. Our friend writes, HP income. HP income, fine. He means income from house property. That is not the word used in law. Okay, HP income. He writes 1L into 0.7 is equal to 70K. And then afterwards he realizes a examination. So 70K he strikes off. And then 70K he has written. K alone he has struck off and written 000 about it. 70,000 amount, which we have to interpret on. 70, then K cancelled, then we have to look up and then see 70,000. Like that. The valuer has to strain his eyes and move like that. Fine. Okay. Well, for 2-mark step, how much will this person get? The answer 0. Why? As per the valuation scheme, every step is given mark. Every step is given mark. Whether it is theory, every point is given mark, every keyword is given, recognized. And in calculation, every step is given mark. That is the standard rule in any professional examination. Ours is no special, right? Ours is not any different. So first is annual value. Sir, gross annual value, net annual value, forget all that. Annual value is taxable. That is what is written in law, right? That word annual value has never been written by the student in the answer book. Sir, I have put 1L, that is rent received. Rent received is representative of annual value. This much you are talking, but you are not writing anything. This is what we want in your answer book. Annual value equal to rent received equal to 1 lakh. That wording we want in your answer book. You can't explain like this in the, it is not a advocate cross-examining and evidence in a court of law. Your answer paper should speak on its own, right? So take care of that presentation part. Annual value, rent received, 1 lakh. 30% deduction. Sir, section number, okay, right, section 24 or whatever section number, right? 30% deduction. So 30% statutory deduction. Okay, right, statutory deduction, whatever extra law says 30%. So nowhere law says multiply the annual value by 0.7. So effectively, that is what computation is. Correct. That is mathematical calculation. You are not writing max paper. You are writing tax paper. Earlier I told you, you are not writing English paper. Now I am telling you, you are not writing max paper. You are writing tax paper. So concentrate on writing tax terminology like that across all subjects. Write the proper terminology properly. For example, in accountancy, there is a question in partnership accounts. Amitabh Limited, Chandran Limited, Balram Limited, or all these three companies. They consider merger, demerger, etc. We will cut the limited and then look at three individual names. Amitabh, Balram, and Chandru are in partnership. There is no point in writing Amitabh's capital account, Balram's capital account, and Chandru's capital account multiple times. There you can say A, B, and C because it is only identification. In the balance sheet, you have to put title balance sheet fully. You cannot write B bar yes because that is technical language. You cannot afford to be relaxed in that manner. You have to write properly. So ensure that you be smart in writing the answer properly. When it comes to keywords, when it comes to technical terms, when it comes to concept, please convey clear, neat, and loud in your answer paper. Clear, neat, and loud. This is the way in which you are expected to write in the examination. And for your kind information, my dear students, you might not have forgotten this. You know very well. I also know very well. In school, our 10th standard and 12th standard teacher precisely were talking about this point only. Write properly, put the working notes properly, don't write any unwanted abbreviation, write neatly, don't scribble. These are all the simple instructions that they have given. In the name of doing things differently, no, we should not do anything wrongly. Please do follow these basic instructions very clearly and very carefully. This is in relation to what we want in the answer. If the valuer finds your answer to be in this manner, he or she will be so convinced and he will give you full mark for that particular answer, whether it is theory or whether it is calculation. Full marks are awarded if a particular step, particular keyword, particular answer is written properly by the student. The intention is conveyed very clearly. The student's understanding of the subject is brought out very clearly, not leaving any doubt. Like, let us call this person and find out what he had in his mind, what she had in his mind. No, we can't get that clarification. Your answer book has to speak on your behalf. So work towards that. You will be able to convince the valuer. So your marks are based on the valuer's satisfaction. Valuer satisfaction is based on the clarity in your answer. How much ever keywords you are using, how much ever the technical terms you are writing properly. Your clarity in answer is based on your memory. Based on your memory. Your memory is based on proper preparation and multiple revision. I repeat, memory is based on proper preparation and multiple times revision. Reading once will not contribute to memory. Reading multiple times only will contribute to memory. Again, I will take another parallel. 10th standard and 12th standard, particularly 12th standard, our board examinations were in March month. But every school, 12th standard itself, the half-yearly examination syllabus would have got completed by previous December itself for the board examination in March. So half-yearly examination itself will be a full syllabus test. And after that, repeated practice, multiple times revision, this exam, this model exam, that model exam, etc. All these are to bring out the practice effect so that we will be very clear in the examination as to what we are writing. Amongst those who are listening here, there might be people who are pursuing a sport any gain on a professional basis. There might also be people who are into fine arts, learning any instrument or learning music, learning dance, etc. I need not tell you people the importance of practice, particularly sportsmen or particularly those who are doing learning fine arts and all that. The importance of practice, I need not tell you. You yourself are aware. So the same thing applies for your examination preparation also. Practice is a very, very important requirement. Please take care of it. Practice makes perfect. So output we have defined. How we have got to write in the examination. For that, we will now work back. I would like to identify three aspects of your preparation. Three aspects: physical aspect, mental aspect, and academic aspect. If physical and mental aspect are properly taken care of, academic aspect, hey, we have come from a very strong academic background, that we know what we have done in 10th standard and 12th standard. We are capable of so many things, we can ourselves manage. So the physical and mental aspect are taken care of. Automatically, with that confidence level, academic preparation falls in place. There is no, that confidence is what is required in us. That confidence is what is required in us. I do not know how many of you would share the same experience as mine in 10th standard, or maybe slightly earlier, or slightly up to 12th standard, etc. There were days when after a maths examination is over, I have got my answer wrong. Everybody was talking about 53. I was talking about 12.75 and vigorously arguing that 12.75 is only correct, while other people had got 53 or something like that as the answer. Now, if any question is given to us in a chartered accountancy course, first, we don't feel confident about our answer. First step will be whether our answer is correct or not. That loss of confidence is something which you have got to address first. Automatically, academic preparation will fall in place. First, I will look at physical preparation. Three aspects I would like to tell you in that connection. One, writing speed. Writing speed. Those who are having a notebook or pen with you, those who are having a calculator with you, can do this simple mathematics. For a 4-mark theory question, roughly, for a 4-mark theory question, roughly the value you will expect in the examination, 3/4 of a page. 3/4, half to 3/4 of a page, that much content, keyword, and all will be required, or 4-mark list, right? So we will do a simple arithmetic within the time available. I am not going into the individual multiple details and all that. Simple arithmetic for 4 marks, 3/4 of a page. So proportionately, if I have to write for 100 marks, very simple calculation. If I have to write for 100 marks, 25 into 25 times 4 is equal to 100. So 25 multiplied by 3/4 of a page. 25 multiplied by 3/4 of a page. So 18.75 or something like that. We will take it as equivalent to 18 pages itself. 18 pages, sir. Bear this in mind. How much time available? People will say 3 hours. Sorry, 3 hours is not the time available. Last 10 minutes is for reading your answer paper and checking whether you have committed any mistake, and then hand over the paper. This is what my 10th standard and 12th standard teacher have told me, which I successfully implemented in CA course also, and the marks are, my marks are the evidence for that, right? Then 20 minutes, sir, 2.5 hours is the writing time. 10 minutes is for revision at the end. Another 20 minutes will be there, will be gone here and there in reading the question multiple times between one question and the other and all that. So these are all very normal loss of time. So effectively, I am looking at 2.5 hours of writing time. 18 pages. 18 pages I have to write in 2.5 hours. 18 pages I have to write in 2.5 hours. So you can yourself do the calculation around 7.2 pages or 7.5 pages, something like that. You should be able to write. You should be able to write in the per hour, on a per hour basis. 7 pages at least if you have got that writing speed. Ruled notebook, remember, ruled notebook, 25 to 30 lines. This is the examination stationery. This is the examination stationery. So when you practice, please practice in ruled notebook. Please practice with the ink pen. Please practice with something which you can call calculator rather than cell phone acting as a calculator or the Excel sheet acting as a calculator. These are small points, but improves finger dexterity, improves your mind-hand coordination. These are all simple things required. There is a proper way of doing it. Those who do it properly will be able to get very good marks in the examination. and others will have to watch, wait when their turn will come, etc. So take care of that part. So 7 pages per hour. So take any theory area, say auditing or for example, in intermediate strategic management, strategic management. Then in final, we have costing, strategic cost management, etc. Take a theory area from the textbook, see whether you are able to write 8 pages per hour by seeing the book. 8 pages per hour, if you are able to write in the examination without seeing the book, you can write around 7 pages. We can guarantee ourselves. Writing speed is the first aspect of the physical preparation that I am talking to you, my dear people. Otherwise, if we are not getting this writing speed, we will complain that question paper is lengthy. Question paper is lengthy, right? A person who does not know how to dance, there is a saying in Tamil, a person who does not know how to dance fell down on the stage and then complained that stage has not been set properly. I think there is some teda meda in the stage, that's why I fell down. First learn how to dance, then come and stand on the stage, you will automatically do well. So do that preparation properly, 8 pages per hour, automatically that writing speed will make you complete the question paper in no time. You will have adequate time for everything. Because what happens if we are short of time inside the examination, no panic sets in. In an area that we know very well, we end up writing something unconnected. We end up making unwanted calculation mistake. All this can be avoided by developing good writing speed. So concentrate on the first aspect of physical preparation. Second aspect, 7 hours of sleep every day. Sir, every day should not be understood as during daytime. Normally, human beings sleep during a particular duration. So during that time, if you sleep, because all our body, whether we like it or not, is aligned with nature. There are other creations of God which are supposed to be awake during night time. They are called as nocturnal beings. We are not, unfortunately, in that category. Right? Fortunately or unfortunately, whichever way it is. Right? Our body needs adequate rest. 7 hours of sleep. Only then your muscles will have, forget the internal organs are also work properly only in that case. Your muscles will have the basic strength to carry out the duties on the following day. Your brain will have the assimilation capacity to remember whatever you are doing. Otherwise, if you are not having adequate sleep and yet open auditing book and all that, only irritation will come. Irritation, nothing. An auditing will not go inside. Irritation will come outside and fall on the auditing book, right? So I'm just taking auditing as an example. I have nothing against that. You can take costing book also. I teach costing, so confidently you can take costing book. It will be irritation against cost, irritation against the subject, irritation with the course. If you look at something with irritation, it will not be within your control. You have to have a very extended, very warm view towards the subject. So consequently, ensure that you have adequate physical rest. Second aspect. First was writing speed. Second one is physical rest. Third aspect under physical preparation, ensure that you have good exercise. Good exercise means all your blood circulation and all that. No, sir, this and all, are they important? Very much yes. In school, at around 9 o'clock every day, I used to peep, not just me, so many students used to peep into the staff room and see which teacher absent on that particular day. Then immediately run to the staff room and find out who is the substitute teacher. And then go and beg of the teacher, madam, please leave us free during that. We would like to go for games, go for some physical activity and all that. We understood or we had adequate exposure to physical activity. Blood circulation very nice. Brain was very active. Body muscles are all very active. We were able to read and remember so many things effectively. Now, ensure that you engage and have that physical activity so that your body will be tuned to utilize your time effectively and read and get good benefit of what you are reading. Opening the textbook and sitting for 3 long hours, not able to remember a word of what is available, that doesn't convey any or that doesn't serve any purpose. No, if I am sitting with a book, there should be a purpose. Therefore, let it be with full involvement. So this is part of the physical preparation. Second one is the mental preparation. First thing under mental preparation. So many of you would have learned swimming. So many of you would know cooking also, cycling, small things like this. I'm not talking about studies. I'm talking about other things. I'm not talking about geography, civics, or economics, or company law, or anything like that. If suppose a person knows swimming and for 6 months he has not gone near water, no swimming at all. After 6 months, he has got an opportunity to swim. Will he say, hey, I have forgotten all the swimming and all that 6 months back only I did that? I have forgotten. No. Similarly, a person who knows cycling, no, 6 months he has not cycled. So after 6 months, somebody gives him a cycle. I will lose my balance and fall down. Nothing of that sort. He will be able to do it. He or she will be able to do it very easily. But the same person, if you ask him something in economics which he has studied 6 hours back, forget 6 months, only 6 hours back, something was studied in economics. You ask that person, wait, I have a doubt, I have to check up. I think so, I don't know the answer properly. So what is the difference between this economics and the cycling and the swimming? Economics, we are studying. Cycling and swimming, we are learning. I repeat, economics, we are studying. Auditing, we are studying. Costing, we are studying. Whereas swimming and cycling and cooking, we are learning. What is the difference between studying and learning? Involvement, very simple. Studying with involvement is equivalent to learning. I repeat, studying with involvement is equivalent to learning. If you put in the involvement aspect, no stress. If you remove the involvement aspect, whatever you do will be stressful. Whatever you do will be irritating. Whatever you do will bring tears and even blood out of your eyes. Let it not reach that level. Concentrate on involvement part. We all have the pen to write, no? I take the plural form of this, pens. Pure enjoyment, no stress. PENS. Pure enjoyment, no stress. Enjoy your work. Automatically things will be within your control. I would like to consider few small examples around this. I told you, no, I don't need any great role model, celebrities, etc. for motivation or for inspiration. The person who delivers milk at my doorstep every day, whether it is Ugadi or whether it is Ganesh Chaturthi or whether it is Independence Day, morning 5 o'clock, she is there at my residence delivering the milk packet. Involvement in her work. Mundane job only, routine job only, daily she has to do the same job, but involvement in that activity. I have to do this job properly at this time, as simple as that, commitment to that work. Sir, 2 years back, somebody asked me, sir, I am doing my first year articleship. They are asking me to fill up bank paying slip challan for deposit of check and all that. What else will we ask you? Sign balance sheet in the first month itself? Too early, pa. You just get a qualification and thereafter we will ask you to sign, not we, other people will automatically come and ask for your signature. Now, are you writing the 15-digit number properly? Are you writing the name of that person properly? Are you having the basic concentration and doing this thing properly? Sir, mundane job. Anybody else can do it, correct? Anybody can do it, no? If it is given to you, you should do it with quality. That is the next part that I am coming to you in the mental aspect. Quality orientation. Quality orientation. Whatever you do, you have to do it with absolute quality involved. Whatever I do, I may commit mistake. It is human, but I should work every time with such a manner that nobody should find the same fault with me again and again. I have done one mistake, right? All right, no problem. Next time, I will not commit the same mistake. That is only quality orientation. Committing the same mistake again and again, there is no orientation at all. Forget quality orientation, there is no orientation at all. So please take your job sincerely and do it properly, as simple as that. Whether it is filling up paying slip for check deposit, or whether it is preparation of statements in office, or whether it is solving a problem in costing or accounts or tax or in financial management, or whether it is reading and remembering theory. Pay attention and remember the keywords properly. Somewhere for MCQ, I was telling you, no, but in a particular situation, say for example, CARO, private companies exempted from CARO if certain conditions are satisfied. Aggregate of paid up capital and reserves. Aggregate of paid up capital and reserves. If you read loosely as aggregate of paid up equity capital and free reserves, it is not written as free reserves. Aggregate of nominal equity capital and free reserves. Nowhere it is said nominal, right? If you merely remember the word capital and reserves and then try to attach this something else, and in the MCQ in the examination, 4 choices are available. One says nominal, one says paid up, the other says paid up plus all reserves, another says paid up with the free reserves, the other one says paid up equity capital and reserves, right? So many combinations are there. Unless you have read with quality orientation, you will not remember it properly and you will not be able to identify the correct answer. The issue is not in just merely reading something. The issue is in reading that properly. The MCQ offers wonderful opportunity for scoring, provided you remember what is written there and you read it with full quality orientation. Read with a view to remember that point properly, carefully. That is the point. Second point I would like to tell you under mental preparation. First, under mental preparation, do not study, learn the subject. The difference between studying and learning is involvement, your enjoyment. Learning with studying with involvement is equivalent to learning. If you do the learning properly, look at the English word learning. If you do the learning properly, after you qualify, L will automatically drop itself. The balance wording will be pakka. What is the balance? L. After that, what is the wording there? Earning. So if you want good earnings later on, you should concentrate on good learning now. Learning versus studying, focus is on remembering, focus is on your involvement. Sir, I need to relax. I have studied so much, I need to relax. There is no need for relaxation and all. If you do anything with involvement, you don't have any stress. You don't have this. Physical relaxation is a must for relaxing the muscles, body, and all that. Meant, sir, I'm feeling stressed. There's no such word at all. It's an unwanted concept invented by unwanted people, right? So there is no concept of stress at all. It's a very simple aspect. If you enjoy what you are doing, there is absolutely no stress. If you enjoy what you are doing, there is absolutely no stress. Please concentrate on enjoying what you are doing, right? That is the first one. Then second one, I was talking about quality orientation. Quality orientation in relation to remembering as it is, and for that purpose, read quality material. Read quality material, right? Take quality material. Read, sir, some 30-page notes, 50-page notes. Somebody's notebook I have taken Xerox. Good, fine, but refer text. Refer text. Concentrate on this. Quality material is always very good, right? Take care of it. Then third point that I would like to tell you under mental preparation is the route that you have taken for 10th standard and 12th standard. Please follow the same route. Mentally, yes, I have to complete this chartered accountancy course within this time means I need to do all the things that I have done properly for 10th and 12th. What are the things done properly in 10th and 12th? First step, yearly completion of syllabus. Second, we had a regular practice test. Third, closely monitored by teachers and the parents. Closely monitored by teachers and parents. In the chartered accountancy course, 100% this cannot be guaranteed. Particularly parents, we might ourselves have told them, CA and all is tough course. Everybody fails mark. I am your child. So don't expect me to qualify the first appearance itself. All said and done, I am your child. I know my responsibilities and all that. So parents themselves, beyond an extent, they cannot tell you because it comes with a very simple answer. I know, I can take care. Sometimes if that answer comes, the parents might not be interested in going beyond that. They know how to mark their self-esteem, no? So how to draw a line and maintain their own level of dignity, they do. So all that we have done in 10th and 12th, try to emulate it as much as possible. Single textbook per subject. Single textbook per subject. We didn't think about, let me write 2 papers now, another 3 papers later. In CA only we are having, let me write 1 group now, let me write another group later. We are giving fuel for our own laziness, our own procrastination of delaying things, our own style of delaying things. Let us not do these unwanted things. Focus on the things that you have done successfully in class 10 and 12. So physical aspect over, mental aspect over. Let me come to the academic part, the preparation part. I would like to tell you only 3 points. First, sir, should we study? Yes, they have just now told you you should study. Should we study daily? Yes, daily study. Sir, my examination is in next year only. Correct. You should study daily. Your work should be like that of a gardener, not a politician. Politician will remember about planting trees only on 2 days. His home is party founder's birthday and his own birthday. Only on these 2 days, he will feel the need for planting trees. On other days, it is only the gardener who is taking care. Daily work has to be done. Please note, even on those days where the politician comes, he will ensure that no dirt falls on his white shirt. He will pose for the camera and somehow do some job. A gardener does not pose for the camera. He does not bother about the dirt. He is ready to take in everything and do the work properly. Be a gardener, don't be a politician. Don't wait for other people to give like for your work. You should start liking your work. You should feel happy at the end of it. You should feel happy about what you have done. Yes, I have studied 1 hour this subject. I know what I have studied. That happiness should be from within. Second, memory aspect. Sir, you told you have to memorize up to the keyword level, you have to memorize. How to improve memory? I am not having any English language background. I have studied only in my local language. How can I remember? Very simple. We all remember through human beings remember only through three things. One, audio memory, audio memory. What we hear is what we remember. What we hear is what we remember. We all know how to speak in our mother tongue only by hearing other people. Only by hearing other people. We didn't attend any class. We didn't download any app for that. So what we hear is what we remember. Read your subject aloud. Read. What will other people think about me if I read aloud? What others think about you is not important. What you will get in the examination as mark is more important. Concentrate on the end result. Everything else will be fine. So read aloud. Automatically you will be able to come. Second, visual memory. What you see is what you remember. Indian national flag, we will be able to recognize very easily because of the multiple times we have seen that. Then so many diagrams, so many companies' logos, Institute of Chartered Accountants of India logo, we will be able to recognize that anywhere because we have seen it many times. What we see is what we remember. Third, what we write is what we remember. Institute of Chartered Accountants of India logo, I also recognize. But if you ask me to draw, I may not draw it properly now. But you give me 1 week's practice, I will be able to draw. Okay, I have drawn amoeba and all in school, yeah. Heart, brain, so many things I have drawn in school. So I know how to draw. Only thing is, I will have to practice. That is the third one, motor memory. That's why I told you, practice writing. Practice writing so that you will get the necessary speed in the examination, right? So memory aspect can be improved in these 3 ways. Daily study, one aspect. Second, memory aspect. Third is writing habit. Proper writing habit is a must. Since we are very close, around 5 minutes balance, I would like to end with a small story so that you will know the significance. This story conveys the significance of writing properly, and also what you should all be doing, what you should be doing in the examination as such. 4 friends, very close friends, athletes, I repeat, athletes who wanted to compete in a 100-meter running race. 100-meter running race. They told amongst themselves that each of us will practice on our own. We will not compare our practice. We will straight meet the competition. This is the agreement between these 4 friends. The first person went to a bookshop. There are so many books available. How to crack CA examination, one book. Then how to learn Sanskrit in 30 days, another book. Then how to learn Hindi in 30 days, another book. Like that, so many books. How to run 100-meter race in 30 days, like that, one book. So this person took that book and thereafter started reading daily, morning 4 times, evening 4 times. First person's preparation. How to run 100-meter race. Second person did not believe in reading at all. He downloaded in internet is there, smartphone is there. He downloaded last 25 years, all the competitions. Olympics is there, Commonwealth Games is there, Asian Games is there, this games, that games, etc. All the 100-meter running race videos. Daily morning 4 times. Watch it by projecting on a bigger screen. Smartphone and a small screen should not see. Big screen. Then evening 4 times. This is second person's preparation. Third person, he went upstairs to his home terrace. He measured the distance and found that to be 25 meters. I have to run 100 meters. 25 meters is the distance. Very good. So 25 into 400. So 4 times up and down if I run, it is equivalent to 100 meters. So daily morning, 4 times into 4, 16 times up and down. So that 4 times 100 meters he has run now. So he practices. The fourth person took the advice of a good coach and went to the track, not on the terrace, went to the track and started practicing. 4 people, right? So coach will guide him not just on running alone, but on his food habits, but on his physical health, mental health, improving stamina, so many factors, right? Coach will guide him on each and every aspect. He took the advice sincerely and prepared on that basis. If the competition were held only amongst these 4 people, we all know who will win. Only the 4th person will win. In fact, the competition itself will be a very funny affair. The first person, at the stroke of the gun, come on, run, he will not start running. He will open his book and see how to start running the first 30 meters. Page number 11, along with the diagram, it will be there. Then he will hold the book and somewhere start running. Second person, he will look at any big screen is there in the stadium. If others are running, only then I will get the motivation to run. The third person will be the most funny. He will run very fast 25 meters because he has practiced on the terrace. He will run very fast 25 meters, then make U-turn, then come back to the origin point, right? Like that, he will run up and down and say, I have run 100 meters. He will be at the origin point, starting point. Fourth person has a better chance of winning there. Right? So, chartered accountancy course is known for so many people who prepare by the first, second, and third methods, my dear people. We don't want you to do by the first, second, or third methods. We want you to do it properly by the fourth method. We want to do it properly. Do not take anything in a light manner, in a casual manner. Don't be serious, right? But don't take anything casually. Do things in the best manner. Your parents' prayers and God's blessings will help you come out very successful in the examination, not just with ordinary marks, but with flying colors. You will be able to reach very great success in the examination. Your parents' prayers and along with God's blessings will ensure that the small efforts that you are putting in sincerely on a day-to-day basis. On a day-to-day basis might be small. Progressively, it will be very big. So it requires just a magnifying glass of your parents' prayers and teachers and God's blessings. Automatically, you will reach very great heights. Once again, thank you to all the members in Jayawada branch for giving me this nice opportunity to share a few thoughts on how to practice the examinations. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir, for your exemplary speech on the topic how to crack CA exams. If I would have listened to you before I start my CA course, I would have finished in single attempt. Your suggestions and so many practical examples are in such a way that it is very easy, simple, and clear to implement. So your pleasant words with pleasant smile and your pleasant face, our students would have felt as if they are listening to Bhagavad Gita. And you are rightly said, sir, to clear CA, one need not do different things. They do things differently. Your deliberations would have really benefited our students who are preparing for exams. Thank you once again, sir, for accepting our invitation. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Now we will be having technical session on GST in 2 minutes. Okay. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, madam. Good evening.
Sir, shall we start the technical
Yes, sir.
session?
Yes, madam. Yes, madam. We can start. Yes.
Now we will be having second technical session on GST. Our session chairman, C.S. Ramakrishna sir, is with us. This session is having 4 topics which will be presented by 4 student speakers. The topics are Janvi Nair from Punjab on the topic of taxability of education institutions. and M. Janvi, Andhra Pradesh, on the topic of taxation of real estate transactions, and Gaurav Chaurasya from Rajasthan on the topic of taxability and voluntary registration, Mansi Saxena from Bhopal on the topic taxability of YouTube income. Now I request Treasurer of Sikasa of Vijayawada branch, P. Vansi Krishna, to invite our session's chairman, CSM Ram Krishna, and student speakers.
Thank you, madam. Good afternoon to one and all present here. I am Amsi, Treasurer of Sikasa team Vijayawada. I would like to take a moment and introduce the session chairman, C.A. Ramakrishna Sangu, qualified as Chartered Accountancy in the year 2006. He has recently graduated LLB from Andhra University and is a postgraduate in Master of Commerce and Master of Business Administration. Post-qualification, he was associated with Deloitte Huskins and Sells Chartered Accountants, Messrs. Manohar Chowdhury and Associate Chartered Accountants, and in 2017, he was retired as a partner from Manohar Chowdhury and Associates and established his own practice in Vizag under the name R.K. Sangu and Associates. He specialized in indirect taxation for the past 15 years. He was a member of Indirect Taxation Committee of DIRC-ICAI for 3 years, beginning from 2016-17 till 18-19. He was former chairperson of Andhra Pradesh Chamber of Commerce Federation and Industry from 2016 to 2020. Currently, he is a co-chairperson. He is a faculty for members of ICAI, ICMAI, and ICSI for the subject indirect taxation. He is into teaching for past 13 years and taught students of ICAI on DT and IDT. Well, that's some profile every person would like to achieve in their life and take you as an inspiration, sir. We are fortunate to have you as session chairman, and thanks for accepting our request in your tight schedule. Now I would like to request Anaga and Ash, members of our Sikasa team, to introduce the student speakers of this technical session too. Thank you.
I myself, Anaga, along with Ash, will take you through the profiles of today's technical session. Starting with Jahnavi Nair presenting her paper on taxability of educational institutions, a CA finalist and also CFA level 1 candidate. She has immense interest in finance and stock market. She has acquired knowledge in financial modeling and equity research as well. She has cleared both groups of IPCC in first attempt with an aggregate of 67%.
Hi, I'm Yash Gupta, member of Sikasa, here to introduce the profile of other members. I'm introducing the profile of Janvi Mova, who is going to present the paper on real estate transactions. It's a pleasure to have her on this dais because she's a ranker in the CA Foundation. She has achieved already rank 44 and cleared CA Inter both groups in the first attempt with distinction. She's currently pursuing her articleship in M. Rao and Associates, and her hobbies are playing games, solving puzzles, and reading business news. And let's have her on this dais on the paper called Taxability of Real Estate Transactions.
The third person is Gaurav. He's presenting on voluntary registration. He's a student pursuing his CA articleship from Mumbai, person with a dream of having a company in India which becomes part of the Fortune 500. He has interest in indirect taxation and finance.
The other presenter over here is Mansi Saxena. She's from Bhopal, MP. She's currently pursuing her articleship from JH, and Associates. She loves public speaking, have participated in many conferences as a paper presenter before, and we are allowed to have her on this dais too.
I hand over the proceedings to the session speaker. Thank you, sir. Sir, please.
Come again. Can we proceed?
Yes, sir. Over to you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Welcome to all the students, and it's always pleasure to speak to the students of Sikasa, and especially SARC Vijayawada branch of SARC ICAI. And today's topics by the respective students Janvi Mubala, Gaurav, and Manvi Saxena. All the topics are very relevant, and practical from the viewpoint of the practice as an article students. Okay, I wish you all the best for all the four speakers, and I would request you to proceed with the sessions. Shall we start with Mr. Gaurav?
Yes, sir, no problem.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Very warm good evening, very warm good afternoon to one and all present here. This is Gaurav Chaurasia, a CA final student from Ajmer, Rajasthan, and I am pursuing my last year of articleship from Shah Gupta and Company, Mumbai. I have completed my graduation from MDS University, Ajmer. I am also associated with the NSC as a certified trainer for NSDL operations. So I would like to say that our journey for the next 15 to 20 minutes shall be revolve around the topic taxability on the voluntary registration under GST. My screen is visible.
Yes, proceed.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, for better understanding of taxability under voluntary registration, I would like to divide both the terms taxability and voluntary registration as a different terms. For the term taxability, we just have to ensure that whether it is covered under the definition of supply as per section 7, and for the purpose of voluntary registration, whether the provisions of section 22 to section 24 required mandatorily registered the person to be registered under GST as per the provisions of GST laws. So if I move forward towards the definition of supply as per section 7, as per section 7 subsection 1, supply includes a point sale, transfer, barter, exchange, lease, licensing, disposal in return of any consideration. The main point is here is consideration by a person in the course of furtherance of business. We have other thing also. We have schedule 1 also, which deals with the services in return without consideration. Second point is import of service for a consideration in the course of furtherance of business. This includes supply. And third one is activity made or agreed to be made without consideration as specified in schedule 1. As I discussed at the time of point A, that without consideration there are total 4 services that we have to take care of this for the purpose of taxability. I want you to just know that as in GST, the taxable event is supply. This taxable event, supply, is the major part, is the major event that by which we have to analyze that this transaction is taxable or not. Let's move towards the part voluntary registration. As the name already says that voluntary registration, it means that it is not mandatory by law. So voluntary registration means it is an option to a person for registered under GST, though he is not liable for registration under GST law. I would, as per the provisions of section 22 to section 24 of the CGST Act 2017, section 22 deals with the person liable for registration under GST. This section 22 states that there is some threshold limit beyond which the person is liable for registration under GST. Section 23 deals with the person exempt from registration under GST. There are some there is some negative list of persons which are not required to be registered under GST. And section 24, that is person compulsory required to be registered under GST without the benefit of threshold limit. So we'll discuss all the 3 sections in detail. But before this, I would like to say that why do we need voluntary registration? Because if we are doing voluntary registration under GST, there must be some benefits or there must be some demerits of this. So let's discuss that why we need for the voluntary registration under GST. First, if we don't take any registration in GST, the major loss is the loss of ITC. Because if I am purchasing some goods from my party and he is charging GST, and because I am not registered in GST, so I am not eligible to claim the ITC. And this ITC, the GST part, will become my cost, and I have to charge this cost plus my profit part to my client. So this will also impact my client also, because for him the cost will also increase. Second thing, to fulfill the requirements of customer or to become eligible for making a bid in a tender, there are some in industry, there are some customers who clearly state this: if you are registered in the GST, then only they will do trade with us. Or there are some government organizations or some government tenders in their RFQ, there is clearly mentioned that you need to be have registered under GST for making eligible to bid in the tender. Third thing, and the main thing, compliance of section 9.4. Section 9.4, because I know at the inception of GST, section 9.4 is the main part where we all are just like, why this section 9.4 is there? Because it is like, if I have purchased anything from unregistered person, then I have to pay GST on RCM basis. This will become a problematic situation for the big corporates like Reliance, Tata, which will daily purchase some small amount of goods from some unregistered dealer. They have to make track of all the things that they have purchased and that they have acquired. So for this, it is very complex. So in October 2017, government has amended this section, and they have increased the limit. They have amended this section 9.4 and states that it is applicable only on some categorized supplier and only on some categorized goods. Now it is applicable to builders only. Of course, fourth point, good rating and for better understanding. Better understanding means that if I am applying for some loan to some bank, they will say that you need to be registered under GST, or just they want to track our records that I am filing the returns or not, and whether I am complying all the provisions of statutory provisions or not. So let's move forward and let's discuss the section 22 of the CGST Act 2017. Section 22 states that section 22 deals with the person liable for the registration. Section 22 states that if a person's aggregate turnover is more than 20 lakh rupees, then he is liable to registration under GST. As per section 2, subsection 6, aggregate turnover includes taxable supply, exempt supply, zero rated supply, and interest rate supply within the same PAN. I would like to state that there are only 4 special category states as on 1st February 2019, that is Mizoram, Manipur, Nagaland, and Tripura, for which this threshold limit decreased to 10 lakh rupees only. If my turnover, aggregate turnover from the supply of goods or services is rupees 20 lakh or 10 lakhs, then I am liable for registration under GST. That's all about the section 22. Let's move towards the section 24, that is compulsory registration under GST. Section 24 states that there are some category of persons which needs to be compulsorily registered under GST, irrespective of their threshold limit of aggregate turnover. First, person making interstate supply. Interstate supply means supply making to some another state, UT, or some another SEZ unit. If a person making interstate supply of rupees 1 or even of rupees 1, then he has to compulsorily registered under GST. Of course, there is one exemption by notification number 3 2019 of IGST, of integrated tax, that if a person making supply of taxable supply of service only, here I would like to mention that it is mentioned that taxable supply of service only, then he can avail the benefit of threshold limit of rupees 20 lakhs or 10 lakh, whichever is applicable. Next, casual taxable person. As per section 2 to subsection 22, casual taxable person means a person coming from some another state for making taxable supply from we can take example of fair, some conference, from where he is making some taxable supply, then he has to take compulsory registration in that state. From that state he is making supply. Third one, person who is required to pay tax under reverse charge. As per section 9(3), government has notified some list of goods, some services and some goods on which the recipient is liable to pay GST on reverse charge basis. Fourth one, a person who is required to pay tax under section 9(5), that is electronic commerce operator, ECO. First of all, I would like to share that ECO means just for in general language, it is just like urban clap, Boy Bibo, Ola that we generally use. We always think that the driver who is driving is the supplier of this taxi services, but no, that Ola, that is electronic commerce operator, is the supplier of this services, the taxi services, and he is liable to pay GST to government, because this taxi driver and all, they are the limited person, or they can't comply the provisions of GST. Next, non-resident taxable person. Now, as per section 2, subsection 27, non-resident taxable person means a person coming from some another country to making a taxable supply in our country. For this, we can also take an example of fair or some conference for which this non-resident person is coming to India for making some taxable supply or some sort of supply. So he is required to be compulsory registered under GST before he makes taxable supply. Person required to be deduct tax under section 51. Section 51 deals with the TDS provisions under GST. For this, first of all, the main thing is we have to just make a separate registration for this TDS registration. And in this, person is required to be compulsorily registered under GST if he is liable to deduct tax under section 51.
Gaurav, conclude in next 3 minutes.
Okay, sir. Next, person who makes taxable supply of goods or services on behalf of some another taxable person. Here we can take example of agent or some sort of person who is making my taxable supply of goods or services on my behalf. So that he is required to be registered compulsorily under section 24. And last, that input service distributor. Input service, as per section 2, subsection 61, input service distributor we can just think that it is the HO, head office of the corporate, which will take service for whole the company. For suppose a person has 20 GST registration in India, so he will take this GST. He will take registration under GST, and he will take the credit, and he will distribute the credit to other branches of the registered under GST. Next, we will discuss section 23, that is person exempt from registration. There are some categories who are not required to be registered under GST. That is, person engaged in supply of goods or services which are wholly exempt, which are not liable to be taxed, then he is not required to be registered under GST. For example, we can say charitable trust or some educational institutions which are making exempt supplies. Next, agriculturist. As per section 2, subsection 7, an agriculture is not required to be registered under GST provisions. Third, person engaged in making taxable supply on which the total tax is to be paid on reverse charge basis. As per notification number 5 2017 of central tax, if a person making taxable supply which is required to be paid, on which tax is required to be paid on reverse charge basis, then he is not liable to be registered under GST. Fourth, casual taxable person. casual as per section 2 subsection 20, if a casual taxable person making interstate supply of some handicraft goods, that there is a list of specified handicraft goods which needs or which that person, that casual taxable person makes the supply of handicraft goods, then he is not liable to be registered under GST. Next, person engaged in exclusively supply of goods whose aggregate turnover is not exceeding rupees 40 lakhs. This is the main, and we can say this is the point of attraction that we have to make, that we have to take care of this, that if a person exclusively dealing in supply of goods, then he is not required to be registered under GST if its aggregate turnover is not exceeding rupees 40 lakh rupees. Of course, that I have already discussed this point, that if a person making interstate supply of only services, then he is not liable to be registered, and that he is not liable to be registered under GST if its turnover it's up to rupees 20 lakhs. So, so last but not the least, we will just discuss the advantages and disadvantages of voluntary registration.
1 minute. 1 minute.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you have only 1 minute. Please conclude.
Okay, sir. So, first advantage is we can eligible to pass on the ITC for which goods or services on which I have taken the ITC. Second is for interstate supply, I can make interstate supply more freely, because now I have already registered under GST. So now I don't have to wait till my registration under GST. Of course, the third one is availing of ITC, and fourth one is better understanding and good rating. Now next, disadvantages of voluntary registration. Of course, this all GST is based on the technology, so we have to be must aware about the technology part. And for this, if I am registered under GST, I have to be pay tax a monthly basis in the form GSTR 3B. That will become my taxable liability. And of course, I have to file all the GST returns. I have to comply with all the GST provisions, and of course, I have to pay the cost to my CA or my GST consultant. So it will increase in the cost. Last, we'll just discuss one case study that
Gaurav,
we'll just discuss one case study on this voluntary registration.
Gaurav, how many slides left?
Only, sir, one. This is last slide.
Okay, conclude.
Yeah. So in this case study, suppose Mr. A is there, whose turnover is less than rupees 20 lakh from the sale of goods, but he is not taken registration under GST, but somehow he receives some services on which tax is to be paid on reverse charge basis. So whether this Mr. A is required to be pay tax on other outward supply of goods, because I have not taken GST registration because my supply is less than 20 lakh rupees. So the answer is, person who obtains registration either voluntarily or compulsorily, they have to compulsorily comply with all the provisions of GST law as applicable to a registered person. Section 25 subsection 3 states that he has to a person registered voluntarily, he has to comply with all the sections of CGST Act as he is a registered person. So he has to charge the GST on the outward supply of goods. That's all from my side. I hope the presentation would assist you, all of you, either academics or either professionally. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Gaurav.
Thank you, sir.
That's a good presentation covering many aspects. But let me summarize the concept of this voluntary registration. See, voluntary registration, as Gaurav covered with respect to various provisions. See, it is basically you are not liable to pay an SSC. There is an SSC or a dealer who is not liable to pay tax, any tax, or who is not liable to be registered either under section 22 or 24. He is not under an obligation to get himself registered. Okay, for whatsoever reason, he is not liable to be registered. But if he wants he can go voluntarily to the department and say, I would like to be registered, irrespective of the fact that his aggregate turnover is below 20 lakhs. Then question may come, sir, when you are not liable to be registered, your turnover is below 20 lakhs, why you are going to the department and asking yourself to be registered? Is it not risky? See, it is not the matter of risk. As he mentioned, one of the points is that when you are dealing with some big companies or public sector undertakings, in one of the conditions, if you see that of the tender documents, would be that you must be a registered dealer with the goods and service tax department. Those kind of things will necessitate the dealer to go and obtain for registration. And most important thing, why people will go for voluntary registration, even if they are not dealing with clients like PSUs, is that, see, when the goods are moving, when his goods are moving from one place to another, when his goods are moving from one place to another within the same state, there is always a possibility that the commercial tax people may stop the vehicle and ask for documents, registration, etc., and seize the goods for variety of reasons. Okay, but because if you are not registered, there is no possibility of generating the e-way bill. But once you are registered, you can generate an e-way bill and send the goods along with the e-way bill and tax invoice, okay, which will enable you to smooth movement of the goods from one place to another without any disturbances. For these reasons, people will go for voluntary registration. It has one of the points to be remembered. We have to advise our clients when they are asking for voluntary registration is that some people are under the impression that when I am below 20 lakhs and I go for voluntary registration, I am not liable to pay tax up to 20 lakhs. They may be under that impression. They may be under the impression that when I am below 20 lakhs, when the law provides that up to 20 lakhs I am not liable to pay tax, so therefore even if I am registered, I am not liable to pay GST because my turnover is below 20 lakhs. But what the law says is, once you are registered, his last slide talks about that. Once you are registered, whether voluntarily, compulsorily, or whatsoever reason, once you are registered, all the provisions of the act shall apply as if you are a person liable to pay tax. So therefore, once you are registered, even though below 20 lakhs, the threshold limit is not applicable. Consequently, you are liable to pay tax. So keep this in mind. We should advise the client who is coming forward for various other reasons. I want e-way bill, I want to tender a document, but he may be under the impression that I am not liable to pay tax up to 20 lakhs even though I am registered. But that is a misconception that we should clear to the client. Otherwise, it's good, fine. Then we'll go with Janvi Nair. Please proceed.
Sir, yes, sir. Thank you so much for this opportunity, sir. I'll share my screen. So yes, I'm not sure of anything but of the fact that when we were all child, we used to wonder how much a school earns, how much a teacher earns. We used to think how many students do the school teach and what the fees they are charging. But we never thought about the taxability part of it. So I, Janvi Nair, today will be presenting on the topic taxability of educational institutions. So first of all, we'll see that there are different levels of education like pre-primary, primary, secondary, higher secondary, and higher education. The core educational services are exempt from GST. However, commercial education services are taxable at 18%. So we will look in detail about these exemptions as well as taxability part of it in the next slides. So next, we'll see that taxability of educational services. The list of educational services which is exempt is exhaustive, whereas list of taxable education services is not exhaustive. So hence, whichever can be classified as educational services and is not specifically exempt becomes taxable and at rate 18%. So we'll study what is educational institution. So educational institution means an institution which provides services up to preschool and higher secondary education, which provides as a part of curriculum for obtaining a qualification recognized by law, as well as part approved vocational educational courses. So services provided by an educational institution to its students, faculty and staff, and by way of conduct of entrance examination against consideration in the form of entrance fees are exempt under GST under the entry 1 of the notification 1227. First of all, whatever comes into the educational institution, the services provided by educational institution will be exempt. So whatever not falls into this definition will be taxable in GST and at the rate of 18%. So next, we'll look in detail about the subclause 2. The term education as a part of curriculum for obtaining qualification recognized by any law for the time being in force means that they help in obtaining a qualification which is recognized under law, which is prescribed in law, and it is covered in the entry 66. So we will see that whether conduct of degree courses by colleges and universities is covered. Yes, they are covered because they grant qualification recognized by law. Whether training given by private coaching institutes is covered, no, it is not covered since they do not grant a recognized qualification. So that means they will be taxable under GST. So next, education prescribed by any foreign law which is not recognized in India, so it will not be covered because only the Indian law is covered. So that means if a college is providing in Indian college which is providing a course or a degree which is not recognized in Indian law will be taxable and under GST. The next subclause 3, it covers the institutions providing as a part of approved vocational courses. So what is an approved vocational education course? Which is a course run by ITI or ITC, which should be affiliated to NCBT or SCBT, or a modular employable skill course. So whether private ITIs are covered, yes, if they cover the educational institution definition, so they will be exempt. Also, government ITIs are always exempt under entry 6. So the next question comes, whether the educational institutions are required to be registered under GST. So the answer is like, if the educational institution is providing only education as a service, then such fees are chargeable at a nil rate. So they are not required to be registered. Whereas an educational institution is also providing other supplies like books to students, providing shoes or uniforms to the students. So these institutions are liable to get themselves registered. The next part, we'll talk about taxable educational services. So the list here is not exhaustive, so I'll have tried to cover various points. So the most common are like commercial training and coaching services. So these are taxable. Certificate courses or online courses offered by various educational institutions. Like even if I did my financial modeling course under my university, so it was taxable under GST. So some reputed educational institutions charge a fee from corporates or MNCs which come to their campus to recruit the students. So these are also taxable services because they charge some fees. So if a company is coming to the campus, so they will have to pay GST. So services provided by qualification not recognized by law, Indian law, will be taxable. The next is child day care services. So child day care services are also taxable at 18% rate. There are exclusive day centers providing daycare services, and some schools also provide child day care services. So they are not exempt under GST. The next, Indian Institute of Management. So it is very interesting to know that Indian Institute of Management, if they are providing some short-term courses less than 1 year, so they are taxable. But if their courses are more than 1 year and like long degree courses, 2 year programs, so they are exempt. So also any other services which is not classified as educational services and is not specifically exempt is also taxable services. The next, technical aids for education, rehabilitation, vocational training and employment of blind. Even these are also taxable. And teaching and learning aid, games and for blind people or some, these are also taxable. Instruments, apertures and models designed for demonstration purposes unsuitable for other uses, so these are also taxable at 28%. So next we'll be talking about exempt educational services. So first of all, we're looking into the aspect of inward services, the services which the educational institution receive. So whether these are taxable or not. So we're looking upon educational institutions providing preschool to higher secondary. So for these institutions, transportation, catering, security or cleaning, and services relating to the conduct of examination or admission. So these all inward services are exempt. For education institution providing education as a part of curriculum recognized by law, so for these services relating to admission or conduct of examination and supply of online journals, these are only the exempt inward services. For educational institutions providing approved vocational course, only the services relating to admission or conduct of examination is only exempt. Rest will be taxable. Next, we'll talk about exempt outward supply. So services provided by educational institutions to its student, faculty or staff by way of conduct of entrance examination against some consideration. So these are exempt outward services. So services provided by state government and central government under training programs for which the total expenditure is borne by central government or state government will be exempt outward supply. The next, services provided by National Skill Development Corporation, a sector skill council, or assessment agency which are recognized will be exempt. So next, we'll see whether the GST, how is the GST charged on those institutions where we get dual qualification, but only one is recognized. So if in a course or a degree providing by the college and we are getting dual qualification, but only one is recognized, so how it is taxed? So since these are two separate services, so their curriculum and fees are also prescribed separately, so they will be assessed separately. But where they are artificially bundled by clubbing two courses and they are charging only single fees, so it will be treated as mixed supply. So according to provision of section 2 subclause 74 read with section 8, the taxability will be determined by supply which attracts highest GST. So if they are clubbed, so it will attract highest GST. Next, we'll see what are books or stationery distributed to students. Are these taxable under GST? So the main books which are supplied are exempted under GST. But if supplies are provided by third parties such as computers, after school activities, musical instruments, these are taxable under GST. Stationery, uniform, and different types of non-academic supplies are also taxable under GST. So we will see now GST on supply of food in a mess or a canteen. So educational institutions generally provide mess facility or canteen facility to their students and staff. So either it can be given provided by the educational institution itself or they are outsourced to a third person. If the catering services are provided by the educational institution itself, so this will be exempt. But if the catering services are provided by the third person, that means if it is outsourced, so these are not covered under educational institution definition, so it will attract GST. The next, GST on boarding facility. So output services of boarding in hostels are provided by educational institutions are fully exempt. But boarding school services also provide education coupled with various services like dwelling units for residents and food. So this is an example of composite supply. So what is a composite supply? A composite supply is where two or more goods services are sold as a set and cannot be sold individually. So every composite supply has a principal supply, and which is the main product or services that the buyer primarily wants. So the tax will be according to the principal supply only. So in this case, the principal supply will be education, and so since the education is provided by educational institutions, so it will be also exempt. Yes, that's all from my side. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Janvi. I just would like to raise one point,
Yes.
and regarding summary, I will give at the end of the all the sessions. You mentioned that catering services provided to an educational institution is taxable.
Catering services provided by educational institutions to its student faculty of or staff, if it is outsourced, like if it is provided by the third party, so it will be taxable. But if the educational institution is providing itself, like they have hired their own staff, so not hired any other company, so that will be exempt.
What would be if the situation is the educational institution entered into an agreement with a catering agency?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so the catering agency will provide the food to the students at the premises. Educational institution will pay the amount to catering agency. In that case,
So that will be also taxable, I think, because if it is provided by third party to its
no,
student or faculty or staff, it will be taxable.
you can refer notification number 12 bar 2017. Okay, serial number 66,
Okay, sir.
clause B. Okay, let me reconfirm. Clause B provides that services provided to an educational institution by way of catering is exempted. So if a third party catering agency providing catering services to an educational institution which is eligible for exemption for its services, like you mentioned, no, high school, higher secondary or affiliation, etc., to such an educational institution, 66 clause B talks about what are the services which are provided to such educational institution which are exempted. Under that, one is transportation. That
Yes,
means
sir, yes.
if the educational institution is taking some transportation services, to in turn provide that to its students, exempt. And the second one is catering. So
Sir,
therefore,
sir, but it will not be exempt only till higher secondary, like I covered the 4 points, where only till preschool and higher secondary, but the rest educational for qualification recognized by law and approved vocational services. So for them, the catering services was not exempted, only up
okay.
to higher education.
So you mean to say up to higher education it is exempt?
Yes.
Then fine. Okay. Then fine. Okay, Janvi. Thank you for the presentation. We'll go to the next session. We'll go to Janvi Muva. I think it is on real estate, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it is important from examination point of view also, because it's always both in service tax law and GST law continues to be a complicated area where clients face difficulty. Okay, please go ahead.
Okay.
Conclude in 20 minutes, before 20 minutes.
Yes, sir. Good evening to one and all. My name is Jahnavi.
Today I'm going to give a paper presentation on a very interesting and complex topic, taxability of real estate transactions under GST. Real estate is one of the booming sector in Indian economy. It contributes nearly 6 to 8% GDP. And it is also the second largest sector in terms of employment generation. Therefore, it is very important to know the tax implications in real estate sector. In this section, we are going to cover some key definitions under ERA Act, different entries under Schedule 2 and Schedule 3 of CGST Act, GST rates on different types of apartments prior to and after 1st April 2019, reverse charge mechanism under Section 9 subsection 4, and last but not least, joint development agreement. Before learning about the GST on real estate sector, it is very important to know some key definitions which are given by Real Estate Regulation and Development Act, that is RERA Act. First of all, apartment. Apartment means any block, unit, or you can call whatever name, like tenantment, suite, etc., of any kind of immovable property which is used or intended to be used either for residential purpose or commercial purpose. If it is used for residential purpose, it is called as residential apartment, and if it is used for commercial, that is business purpose, it is called as commercial apartment. Further, residential apartments are classified into two types: affordable residential apartment and other than affordable residential apartment. Affordable residential apartment means having carpet area up to 60 square meters in metropolitan cities, 90 square meters in other than metropolitan cities or towns, and gross amount up to 45 lakhs. Now, the general question arises then, what is gross amount? Gross amount is the amount of consideration charged by the promoter on the buyer, and it includes preferential location charges, parking charges, development charges, but it excludes stamp duty charges, maintenance charges, etc. And which are not covered if the two conditions, that is carpet area and gross amount, are not satisfied, then it is called as other than affordable residential apartments. We all know the definition of project. Project means construction of an apartment or developing an existing building into an apartment. Again, project is classified into two types, REP and RREP. RREP, residential real estate project. If in a project, units constructed are for residential purpose, then it is called as residential real estate project. If in a project, both residential and commercial apartments are constructed, then we have to check the carpet area of commercial apartments. If the carpet area of commercial apartment is less than or equal to 15% of total carpet area, then such project is called as residential real estate project. Similarly, if in a project all the units constructed are commercial, then it is called as real estate project. And if both residential and commercial apartments are constructed and total carpet area of commercial apartment is greater than 15% of total carpet area, then it comes under real estate project. Now, since both supply of goods and services are included in construction, a general doubt may arise whether it is supply of good or supply of service. The answer to this question is given in Schedule 2, Section 7, Subsection 1A of CGST Act, which specifies activities or transactions to be treated either as supply of goods or supply of services. It is clearly mentioned here that construction of a complex building or civil structure, if consideration, whole consideration or part consideration received before or at the time of completion certificate issued by a competent authority or first occupation, whichever is earlier, then it amounts to supply of service. Now, who is competent authority? Competent authority means government or any authorized authority such as architect, chartered engineer, licensed surveyor, etc. And again, Schedule 3 specifies certain activities or transactions which are neither supply of goods nor supply of services. If an activity meets the definition of supply under Section 7, Subsection 1, but it is given in Schedule 3, then no GST is charged in that activity. Entry number 5 of Schedule 3 clearly specifies that sale of land and subject to paragraph 5B of Schedule 2, sale of building, That is, sale of building after issuance of CC or FO, whichever is earlier. They are neither supply of goods nor supply of services. Now, moving on to the next and most important topic, GST rates on different types of apartments. The provisions of GST on real estate sector have predominantly changed from 1st April 2019. A new scheme was introduced by the government on 1st April 2019. All the projects commenced on or after 1st April 2019 will be charged under this new scheme. But for an ongoing project, an option is given to the promoter to pay GST rates under old scheme. First of all, we will see what are the GST rates in old scheme. For affordable or government apartments, the effective GST rate charged is 8%. Since we all know that in the consideration charged by the promoter, it includes value of undivided share of land. Since we already learned in previous slide that land is neither supply of goods nor supply of services and hence no GST is charged on land, we have to deduct the portion of land. Government by notification specified that 1/3 will be equal to the value of land. Therefore, from notified 12%, after 1/3 rebatement, we get 8% effective rate. Similarly, for other commercial apartments, the effective GST rate charged is 12% after 1/3 land rebatement. A point to be noted here is that under old scheme, ITC is available, but under new scheme, we will check that. For affordable residential apartments, effective GST rate is 1% without ITC, and other residential apartments, effective rate is 5% without ITC. In case of commercial apartment, if it is comes under residential real estate project, that is the carpet area of commercial apartment is less than or equal to 15% of total carpet area, then the effective rate charged is 5% without ITC. If it comes under real estate project, the effective rate charged is 12% with ITC.
Distance can be acceptable.
The point to be noted here is that since no ITC is available in majority of the cases in new scheme, promoter he can purchase those goods from an unregistered supplier. If purchased from unregistered supplier, promoter need not pay GST, which results in huge loss of revenue to the government. Therefore, as per the power mentioned given to the government under section 9 subsection 4 of CGST Act, which states that government by notification, it can specify class of registered person who are involved in supply of specific categories of goods or services from an unregistered supplier. The tax shall be paid on reverse charge mechanism by the registered person. Therefore, by notification number 7/2000, government prescribed that 80% of total value of goods, input and input services has to be purchased from registered person, and up to 20% we can purchase from unregistered person. On excess purchase about 20%, the short excess amount has to be payable under RCM at the rate of 18%. In case of input capital goods, if they are purchased from unregistered person, they are taxable under RCM at the applicable rates. Cement purchased from unregistered person also taxable under RCM at the rate of 28%. Similarly, already covered under 9 subsection 3, input and input services, they should also be taxable under RCM. A point to be noted here is that while calculating the value of input and input services, we should not include this transfer of development rights, purchase of land, payment of salaries, wages, etc. These are not included while calculating the 80% limit. A general question may arise that if we purchase goods from a composite dealer, where we don't pay any tax to the composite dealer, is it considered as a purchase from registered person or unregistered person? It is considered as a purchase from registered person. And also, excess above 80% purchase in a year cannot be set off against the shortfall in the next year. Now, after understanding this provision, let us understand with the help of an illustration. A promoter purchased 60% input and input services from registered supplier, 15% cement and 25% other input and input services from unregistered person. Now, what is the mechanism? Since we have owned 15%, cement has, if purchased from unregistered person, GST is payable under RCM. We should not include this 15% in 20% limit of unregistered person. Therefore, excess 5% over 20% has to be paid under reverse charge mechanism. Next, moving on to the next topic, joint development agreement. A most important topic and interesting topic. It is a contract between landowner and the promoter, where the landowner he transfers the development right to the promoter, and promoter takes the responsibility of construction of flats, that is apartments, whether residential or commercial, and in turn,
as per the Supreme Court order,
sells these apartments to the landowner and also some of the apartments to the customer. Here, the landowner he can also sell the apartments which he received from the promoter to the customer. Now we will go to the detailed analysis of each and every transaction. First of all, transfer of development rights. As per section 2 clause 102, that is as per service, definition of service, transfer of development right, it amounts to supply of service. Now what is the tax rate charged? It is charged at the rate of 18% under HSN code 9972. Now, as per the notification number 5/2019, transfer of development rights are liable to reverse charge mechanism. That is, the recipient has to pay the tax to the government. In the given case, the recipient is builder, developer, or promoter. He is liable to pay tax to the government. Now, moving on to the next aspect, time of supply. As per the notification number 6/2019, government prescribed that the times of paying tax to the government in case of residential apartment is on the issue of completion certificate or first occupation, whichever is earlier. In case of commercial apartment, for the monetary considerations, that is here the promoter or developer, he can give apartments, that is commercial or residential apartments, along with the monetary consideration. If in that case, that monetary consideration, the time limit is as per section 13 subsection 3, normal process. Time of supply of services under reverse charge mechanism. Let us see this. So, time of supply of services under reverse charge mechanism, 61 days from the date of issue of invoice or payment, whichever is earlier. Therefore, for the monetary consideration, in commercial apartment, time limit is 61 days from the date of issue of invoice or payment, whichever is earlier. In case of non-monetary consideration, issue of completion certificate or first occupation, whichever is earlier. Now, how to value these development rights? Government, it also prescribed in notification number 4/2019 that value of this right will be deemed to be equal to the value of similar apartments charged nearest to the date of transfer. Now, the most important aspect, that is exemption. Out of these 4 transactions, exemption is available only here. That is only in the transfer of development rights. As per the notification number 4/2019, exemption is available only for construction of residential apartments. That is, if the landowner is transferring the transfer of development rights to the builder or promoter. The promoter in turn is developing apartments, whether both is developing both residential and commercial apartments. The exemption is available only to the residential apartments which are sold before or at the time of completion certificate or first occupation, whichever is earlier. In case of commercial apartments, no exemption is available for transfer of development rights. Therefore, in short, we can say that residential portion of transfer of development rights which are sold before or at the time of completion certificate or first occupation, whichever is earlier, is exempted. Exemption shall be withdrawn to the extent of unsold inventory on issue of CC or FO, whichever is earlier. Now, we are taxing at the rate of 18% on this unsold residential apartments inventory. But this tax payable, it shall not exceed 1% of value in case of affordable, 5% value in case of other than affordable, which are remaining unbooked on the date of issuance of CC or FO, whichever is earlier. That is, in short, if those residential apartments which are booked at the time of CC, if they are sold before or at the time of issue of completion certificate, they are chargeable at 1%, 5% respect to it. Since they are not sold, Now we are taxing through transfer of development rights at the rate of 18%. This 18% tax should not exceed this value. Now, how do we calculate the value of residential apartments which are unbooked? Similarly, we have already derived how to calculate value of development rights. Similar applies here. Value of similar apartments charged by the promoter nearest to the date of transfer. Now, I already mentioned we will learn how to calculate the tax payable for the residential transfer of development rights. I already mentioned that for the commercial unit, no exemption is available. That is, commercial portion of transfer of development rights is taxable at the rate of 18%. Let us assume that the builder is constructing both residential and commercial apartments. First of all, we already calculated the value of development rights on which tax is charged. That is value nearest to the date of transfer, similar apartments. First of all, from that value, we have to calculate the portion of commercial apartments, and that portion is charged at the rate of 18%. Now coming to the case of residential portion of CDR, we have an exemption that the residential apartments sold on or before issue of completion certificate are exempted. The reason behind this is government wants to promote housing for all, or Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana scheme, where it specifies that every individual should have his own house. That's why on residential apartments, tax is charged only once. That is, if booked before or at the time of issue of completion certificate, we charge tax at 1% or 5% respectively. If they are not booked, unbooked, and sold after issue of completion certificate or first occupation, since it comes under Schedule 3 of Section 7, subsection 2, which we already discussed in earlier slide. No GST is charged. That's why government wants to charge tax now. Therefore, on that value, first of all, we have to calculate the residential portion. That is carpet area of residential apartments divided by total carpet area, and into carpet area of residential apartments unbooked divided by total carpet area. That we are taxing at the rate of 18%. And this tax payable should not exceed 1% in case of affordable residential apartment and 5% in case of other than affordable residential apartment, which are unbooked at the time of CCR FO. Now, moving on to the next transaction, that is
Janvi,
transfer of construction services.
try to complete in next 5 minutes.
Yes, sir. Sure.
Yeah.
Transfer of construction services by the developer. We already learned in previous slide that construction services where consideration is received before or at the time of issue of completion certificate amounts to supply of service. Now the tax rate charged. We already learned in previous slide what are the tax rates charged for respective apartments. Now who is the taxable person? Generally, supplier is a taxable person. In the case developer, since developer is a supplier, he will be the taxable person. Now time of supply. In case of monetary consideration, normal provision, that is section 13 subsection 2 of CGST Act, which is time of supply of services under forward charge mechanism applies. If invoice is issued within time limit, date of issue of invoice or payment whichever is earlier. If not issued within time limit, provision of service or payment whichever is earlier. Now what is the time limit under section 31? It is 30 days from the date of issue of invoice. Next, moving on to the next topic, ITC. It may result into accumulation of ITC in the hands of landowner. This point we will discuss deeply in T4, that is transfer of landowner's apartment to the customer. Next, value of construction service provided to the landowner. Similar, we already discussed in the previous slide, value of transfer of development rights. Similar concept applies here. That is value of similar apartments charged by the promoter or nearest to the date of transfer. And input tax credit. If the landowner further sells those apartments, then ITC is available. If it does not sell those apartments, ITC is blocked under section 16 subsection 1 in case of residential apartment and 17 subsection 5 in case of commercial apartments. Next, moving on to the next transaction, transfer of developer's apartment to customer. Here we are talking about transfer of under constructed property, that is transfer of apartments before or at the time of issue of completion certificate. Those amounts to construction service, that is supply of service, we already discussed earlier. Tax rate, we already discussed earlier. Slide that applicable tax rate for the respective apartments. And who is the taxable person? Supplier will be the taxable person, that is developer. And what is the time of supply? Normal provisions, that is section 13 subsection 2, time of supply of services, which we already discussed earlier, that is invoice or payment, whichever is earlier will apply. In case of booking amount, date of receipt. Here booking amount, date of receipt, advance, we pay tax in GST or 1 under table 11A. Okay, next input tax credit. This customer can avail input tax credit, assuming that his customer not transferring those apartments further, that is, he is using either for residential purpose or commercial purpose. If he is using for residential purpose, it is ITC is not available under section 16 subsection 1. We already know that what is section 16 subsection 1. If ITC is available only if it is used for the purpose of business. And if it is in the case of commercial apartments, ITC is blocked under section 17 subsection 5. Next, moving on to the last transaction, that is transfer of landowner's apartment to the customer. A transfer of under constructed apartment to the customer, it amounts to supply of service, that is construction service. We already learned the respective GST rate. And who is the taxable person? Supplier is the taxable person. And what is the time of supply? Normal provisions under GST shall apply. And a point to be noted that here is, I already mentioned you that we will discuss this point, that is ITC, it may result in the accumulation of ITC in the landowner. Now, here, please note the point here that landowner is selling the apartment to the customer before completion certificate or first occupation. That is, he is collecting tax from the customer and paying the same to the government. But landowner ITC is available at the time of CCR first occupation. Because of this time difference, ITC will accumulate in the hands of landowner. Therefore, in the recent GST Council meeting held on 28 May 2021, it was recommended to allow credit to landowners in joint development agreement before the completion certificate is received. That is, if the developer who collects tax from the landowner pays the amount to the government before completion certificate, landowners, he can claim those input tax credit and set off against the tax payable which is collected from the customer to the government. And final topic, input tax credit. Similar, already we discussed in previous slide. Assuming that customer is not involved in further sale of apartments, he is using either for residential purpose or commercial purpose. If used for residential purpose, ITC is not available under section 16 subsection 1. If used for commercial purpose, ITC is blocked under section 17 subsection 5. This we already learned. Thank you. I would like to thank my parents and mentors who guided me in every step, and Vijayawada branch of SIRC for giving me this valuable opportunity. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Janvi. That's a tough topic to address. You have incorporated almost all the provisions regarding taxability, valuation, time of supply. I think place of supply only seems to be missed under the section 12 of the IGST Act, but that's a good effort. Now we proceed to Mansi Saxena. Mansi,
Thank you, sir.
please proceed with your session.
Sure, sir. So is the presentation visible?
Yeah, visible. Proceed.
Okay, thank you, sir. As per the recent reports published by KPMG, YouTube distributed close to $20 billion as the part of YouTube earnings program. That is correct. $20 billion. Isn't this a very big and astonishing figure? I guess so. A very warm and chilly afternoon to everyone present. This is Mansi Saxena from the city of Lakes, Bhopal, going to present my paper on the topic Taxability of YouTube Income. Moving forward, the digital era has acted as a boom for creative people. Thanks to technology, people are converting their hobbies into businesses on various social media platforms. One such platform is YouTube. Last year, due to lockdown, it was used by over 2 billion users worldwide. The simplicity of YouTube has attracted many creators to this platform. It's all possible due to easy uploading and editing of videos, live interaction with people, and many other interesting features that YouTube has to offer. Well, apart from this, as per statistics, it is shown that every day people watch 1 billion hours of videos on YouTube. no doubt, YouTube is a growing business opportunity as of now. Hence, in this presentation of about 15 minutes, we are going to discuss GST on YouTube income. Are YouTubers liable for GST registration? Do they have to pay taxes? Are YouTube earnings exempt from GST? And many other such intriguing questions. To answer them, चलिए शुरू करते हैं. Let's all start with the basics. Well, what is GST? As we all are well aware, it is an indirect tax imposed on supply of goods and services. Hence, to know about the tax implications, first we will have to understand whether YouTube earnings constitute as a supply or not. If yes, whether it is a supply of goods or service. So let us understand. YouTube, can it be called a supply? The word supply has been defined under Chapter 3, Section 7 of CGST Act to be read as under. Supply includes all forms of supply of goods or services or both, such as sale, barter, exchange, license, made or agreed to be made for a consideration by a person in the course of furtherance of business. All the other points of supply were already explained by my fellow presenter. The important point here on a critical analysis is that in the definition of supply, it becomes clear that the lawmakers wanted to include a wide range of transactions and therefore it carries a wide scope. For our need though, we will focus on subsection 1, section 7, which cites 4 main points. These 4 main points play a major role in our supply definition. The 4 points are: supply includes all forms of supply, made or agreed to be made, for a consideration, in course or furtherance of business. When a creator uploads content on YouTube, then it means handling over and delivery of the content to YouTube. And the same content is being monetized after opening an Google AdSense account with Google. It is followed by agreeing to terms and conditions of the agreement in place. This implies commercial intention on the part of content owner, which is an order of furtherance of business. After discussing on furtherance of business part, earnings from YouTube start after reaching a certain amount of viewership, that is 10,000 views and 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. So at the moment, the YouTuber content surpasses the stipulated views, revenue starts generating in the hands of the YouTuber. As soon as revenue in the hands of the YouTuber starts generating, then all 4 components, as discussed above, eventually merge and bring supply in legal terms into its existence. Moving forward, after establishing that it is a supply, all the factors like making supply under the cover of agreement in furtherance of business and for a consideration gets over at the very moment when revenue in the hands of YouTuber has accrued. We have established that supply of content is said to be accomplished. After getting to know that YouTube earnings come under supply, we have to discuss, is it a supply of goods or a supply of service? As per section 2, subsection 102 of CGST Act, services means anything other than goods, money and securities, but include activities relating to the use of money or its conversion by cash or by any other mode from one form, currency or denomination, to another form, currency or denomination for which a separate consideration is charged. Hence, as we all know, services mentioned here are intangible services, since good come under tangible goods. Service definition signifies that service nature is intangible, unlike goods which have physical existence. As content is online media, that is on YouTube server, so it does not have tangibility in its nature. So it is not a commodity or a good, rather a service. So when all these explanations put together, then it postulates and makes it very clear that uploading content and monetizing the same on YouTube portal is supply of service. And when it is supply of service, then definitely indirect taxability has to creep in. So let's analyze in the tax terms. There are 2 parties in a GST transaction. The first one is service provider, who provides services to a service recipient. In this case, it is the YouTuber or someone or a creator who uploads content on YouTube. Service recipient is the one who receives the services. In this case, it is Google, who is the parent company of YouTube. Also, since Google is situated outside India, it will come under interstate transactions. Further, we need to analyze the nature of service provided and what would be the GST impact on the same. Whether such uploading of content on YouTube and monetization of the same is taxable supply within GST regime or not. For that, we will have to understand place of supply under the IGST Act, that is Section 13 of the same. As for the provisions of Section 13 of the IGST Act, the services provided by YouTubers shall come under OIDAR, that is Online Information and Database Access or Retrieval Services, and the place of supply shall be the location of service recipient. In this case, the service recipient is Google, which is located outside India. Hence, the place of supply is outside India. Therefore, if the place of supply is not in taxable category, then question of levying GST does not arise here. If GST is not leviable on the same, whether can such a supply of service can be treated as export? Let us understand. Export of services, Section 2, subsection 6 means that export includes when the supply of service is located in India, the recipient of service is located outside India, the place of supply of service is outside India, the payment for such service has been received in convertible foreign exchange, the supplier recipient are not merely establishments of a distinct person. Hence, if a person is providing services as YouTuber located in India to Google, which is located outside India, and receives payment in convertible foreign exchange currency, that is US dollars, and such YouTube and Google are not merely establishments of a distinct person, then it is to be classified as export of services. So YouTuber who is uploading content on YouTube and online platform is exporting content services. How much GST shall be levied on such export of services? As this service has been provided to the person which comes neither in taxable category nor in the place of supply of service is situated in taxable category, so no question of levying GST on such services arises. Hence, we come to Section 16, that is zero rated supply. Is GST, is YouTube income coming under zero rate supply? We will see. Zero rated supply means any of the following goods or supplies of goods or services or both, namely export of goods or services or both, or supply of goods or services or both to a SEZ developer or a SEZ unit, subject to the provisions of subsection 5 or subsection 17 of the CGST Act. Credit of input tax may be availed for making zero rate supplies, notwithstanding that such supply may be an exempt supply. For our case, we will go to clause A, that is export of goods or services or both. We've already established that that YouTube income comes under export of services. Hence, export of services also come under zero rated supply. Hence, we can conclude that YouTube income, after being an export of services, is also a zero rated supply. A registered person who is making a zero rated supply, that is the YouTuber, they can claim a refund under either of the following options. There are two options. First one is he may supply goods or services or both under bond or letter of undertaking, subject to such conditions, safeguards and procedures as may be prescribed without payment of integrated tax and claim refund of unutilized ITC. Or he may supply goods or services or both to such conditions, safeguards and procedures as may be prescribed on payment of integrated tax and claim refund of such tax paid on goods and services or both supplied. That is, he can either issue an LUT, that is letter of undertaking, or he can register himself or herself under GST law. So is registration mandatory? Are YouTubers mandatory required to register for GST? Definitely not. As we've established earlier that they have two ways. They can either go by letter of undertaking route or they can opt for registration. So if they opt for Gst registration, there are two ways to register. The first one is act-based registration. That is, if the turnover crosses 20 lakhs or 10 lakhs, if the YouTuber is situated in specified state, then they can register, or they can register voluntarily. Even if the turnover does not surpass 20 lakhs or 10 lakhs, they can register voluntarily. And as Sir said, in both conditions, they are required to pay GST as soon as they register. It depends on the YouTuber in which category they want to register. What are the GST rate if a YouTuber decides to opt for GST registration? The GST rate applicable on services rendered by the YouTubers and bloggers is 18%. That is 9% of CGST and SGST or 18% of IGST. This rate applies only if the YouTuber is liable for GST registration or is already registered under GST. Wherever the YouTubers or bloggers are exporting services, it is considered zero rate supplies and no GST is charged on the same. What are some GST compliances that registered GST users have to follow? Even though there is no specific format for raising a GST invoice by YouTubers or bloggers or for any social media influencer, the law has mandated that some items be mentioned on all GST invoices. The details of all invoices are required to be mentioned in the GST return in Form GSTR1. All invoices must be appropriately raised as per the provisions of the GST law. YouTubers and bloggers for now are like other GST registered persons, so they must file GSTR1 and GSTR3 just like any other regular taxpayer. So to conclude, Section 16 of IGST Act has eliminated the ambiguity over the matter of levying GST on export of such services. Firstly, export of services is to be treated as zero-rated supply as per Section 16, subsection 1, subclause A. Further, subsection 3 of subsection 16 has given the procedures to be followed while exporting goods or services. It has given us two options, that one has to either export the services under a cover of bond or letter of undertaking without payment of GST, or else pay GST and take refund of the same later on. Also, Section 16, subsection 3, clause B option of paying IGST first and then claiming refund of the same later on is not viable according to my understanding, since it is not prudent, because it will block working capital of business unnecessarily, and that too without any conclusive assurance as to getting refund on time. Whereas Section 16, subsection 3, subclause A sounds more wise and promising, which not only shirks off from payment of IGST on output export of services, but it also gives an option to get refund of that unutilized input GST, which has been utilized as input for provisioning of such export services. Well, unless an explanatory circular or notification does not come in this matter from CBIT or government respectively, till then, being in adherence to Section 16 of IGST Act is a compulsion and is recommended by the council. The future of marketing revolves around YouTube. I remember in school days we used to Google a topic if I didn't understand it, and now I type a topic on YouTube, let's say capital gains, and there are tons of videos, options there are at my fingertips, which is amazing if you think so. Also, how can you make a presentation and not include a quote somewhere? Well, here's mine by Cheryl Sandberg. I go on YouTube just to watch a music video, and 5 hours later, I'm watching a video on how to talk to a giraffe. Well, this concludes my point. Social media is going through a growth spurt. As of now, we all are aware, be it YouTube, be it Instagram, or new social media apps are coming up. New influencers we have, YouTubers, bloggers are coming up. Hence, it is a need of the hour for government and GST Council to issue relevant guidelines for such categories. Well, as Sarvana sir said, knowledge is of no use until you put it into practice. I hope all the listeners got to know about this new topic and gain knowledge. Thank you all for being patient listeners. Thank you, Vijayawada branch, for giving me this wonderful opportunity to present my paper on such a unique topic. Thank you.
Thank you, Mansi. That's a good one. In fact, all the 4 topics today taken by the 4 speakers are important, good topics, complicated topics, especially like real estate, well covered by the Janvi Mova, and this new topic Mansi taken up, YouTube income from where you are receiving the income from outside India. So the whole topic taken up by the Mansi is since specific to YouTube. It will be under the presumption or assumption that the income will be coming from outside India, and therefore the place of supply is outside India as per the provisions of the place of supply under section 13 of the IGST Act, and therefore it can be treated as an export of service as defined under the IGST Act, and hence you have an option either to raise the tax invoice, pay tax, IGST, because export of services or services provided to a person outside India is deemed to be an interstate supply under section 7 read with 8 of the IGST Act. So you have an option only to pay IGST, so pay and go for refund, or you can need not pay provided you have submitted letter of undertaking with the department, don't pay, but you have to mention on the face of the invoice that this is an export of service without payment of IGST. That is mandatory, and also mentioning of the LUT number on the tax invoice is also mandatory, and accordingly you can do without payment of IGST also. So under the GST law, what are important aspects, or what I like in today's speakers coverage is that in most of the presentations they cover taxable event, registration aspect, valuation, time of supply, place of supply, input tax credit, who is liable to pay tax, refund. All these areas are covered beautifully. If you have, whenever you have taken a topic for discussion on subjects like income tax, particularly indirect taxes, any topic you take, it has multi-facets. You have to see whether it is taxable or not. What is the taxable event? That is, what is the supply, whether it is supply of goods or supply of service, that is section 9, then section 7, then section 9, whether it is intrastate supply, interstate supply. Then what is the value on which I am liable to pay tax, section 15. Once you decide that I am liable to pay tax, then question comes on what value you have to pay the tax, and then the rate of tax, at what rate you are liable to pay tax, because we have different rates of tax, 2.55, 12, etc, etc. And then comes time of supply, when, what is the time at which I am liable to pay the GST to the government. See, due date is different from the time of supply. Due date is every month 20th with respect to time of supply falling in for a particular month. That is time of supply covered by section 12 and 13 of the CGST Act. And next important thing is place of supply. Place of supply is important because it determines whether you are required to pay CGST, SGST or IGST. Based on reading the provisions of section 12 and 13 of the IGST Act, you need to understand where the place of supply is, where the service provider is located, where the service receiver is located, where the service is actually rendered or deemed to be service is said to be provided as per section 12 or 13. And then you will decide whether I need to pay SGST, CGST or IGST, and whether for that particular transaction, whether myself as a service provider or my service receiver is entitled to take input tax credit. In this context, every student is required to go through section 16 and 17 very carefully. Section 16 talks about the conditions and restrictions subject to which you can claim ITC. Like, you need to have tax invoice, goods should have been received, the other party should have paid the tax, Okay, and with respect to an invoice relating to a particular financial year, you can claim the credit by the 30th September of the next financial year, deemed receipt, etc. Section 16. Then comes section 17. Section 17 says, when you are providing both taxable and exempt services, how to claim the credit. When you are using a service and using that service, particular input service for non-business purpose, taxable purpose, exempt purpose, how to claim the credit, and most importantly 17.5, blocked credit. 17.5 is the most important topic for any student, whether it is an inter level or final level. It says, what are the particular goods or services on which a person cannot claim ITs. So there is a list of goods and services, and that particular list of goods and services, when used by a particular person, are not entitled to claim tax credit. It's blocked. Okay, and then you have to also apply your yes, focus on refund provision. Section 54 of the CGST Act deals with the provisions relating to refund, like how to apply, to whom to apply, in which format to apply, read with rule 89, etc. And section 16 of the IGST Act deals with certain cases where you are entitled to refund and certain cases where you are not entitled to refund. See, unless otherwise specifically provided for, you are not entitled to refund. So all these areas are covered, and the time is very limited for me to address any particular area, because if you take up this real estate, that real estate takes not less than 2 hours if I really make you to understand thoroughly. But still, I'll just spend 5 minutes to just give you a glimpse on real estate, the most happening area. I don't know how, to what extent they are asking on real estate, because it's at the end of the day, it's very important from practice point of view. At least as an article student, you are bound to know. See, I'll just sum up in a glimpse by way of a glimpse in 5 minutes. See, there will be a developer, landowner. Landowner gives land to the person called builder or developer for developing a building called apartments, with an understanding that some sharing ratio. If you are constructing 10 flats, builder, you take 7 flats. As a landowner, give me three flats. This is called joint development agreement. The landowner and the builder coming together to develop a project and share the benefit arising out of it. Okay, so this is basically joint development agreements. If you can go through all the slides given by Janvi Mova, it is covered exhaustively. So you go through that. Rates of tax are very much clear. But I can tell you, note down or go through notification number 3/2019 CTR, 4/19 CTR. CTR means central tax rate. 5/2019. If you really want to understand the provisions relating to real estate, these are the 3 notifications from which you will take or derive complete knowledge. Okay, so otherwise I have no complaints with as far as these presentations are concerned. I wish you all the best to all the 4 speakers. Now I will hand over the proceedings to Sikasa committee.
Sir, will you ask the quiz questions, sir?
Any specific questions sent to me, madam? No.
Through WhatsApp we have sent, sir.
1 minute.
Sir, I have shared it in the chat itself, sir. You can see it. You will have a PPT.
Okay, that is quiz questions, sir. Okay.
Yes, sir.
1 minute.
Yes, sir.
Can you send it in WhatsApp if you don't mind?
Once you
Sure,
share
sir.
it, you share the
Sure, sir.
question, sir will ask the question.
Okay, madam. I'll send it now.
Are you the co-host?
Yes, I'm the co-host now, madam. I'll send it
You
over
share the
WhatsApp.
question.
You want me to share in the
WhatsApp, please.
Okay, I'll share it in the WhatsApp, sir.
Okay.
Come on, very quickly. This is PPT Q5.
Sir, I've sent you over WhatsApp, sir. You can please check it, sir.
I need to share it, right?
Yes, sir. Share your screen, sir.
Better, why don't you take up this here? Madam, Shirin madam,
Sir?
would you like to take up this?
No, sir. You can proceed, please.
Yeah. Share. Could you see the slides?
Yes, sir. We can see them. We are that's on the screen.
Okay. So what's the procedure? One by one I should ask.
Sir. Yes. Sharing
I think I request some Sekasa committee to take up this activity.
Vansi, please.
Okay, madam. I'll handle it. Okay.
Okay.
Shall I remove this?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, proceed.
Yes, sir. Just a second. Yeah, is it visible now for the PPT? Can you?
Yes,
can you
yes.
see? Yes, sir. And the first, there are 4 questions. We have framed 4 questions. All the participants can participate. Those who know the answer can raise their hand, and those who raises first will get an opportunity to answer the question. And the questions are: first question, tagline of below group. Citibank. Kishan, please unmute yourself and answer.
The city never sleeps.
Yeah, that's right. That's right, Kishan. Congrats. The city never sleeps. That's the tagline of Citibank. That's right. And the next question. The following company has taken over by which educational giant recently? Byju's. Byju's institution has taken over recently. And name the institution. Who raised it?
Gaurav.
Gaurav.
Akash.
That's right, Gaurav.
Akash Foundation.
Second question answered by Gaurav. Congrats. It's Akash. Recently, Byju's has taken over Akash. And third question, tagline of below company, EY. Big Four audit. It's Shanmukha Priya. Can you please unmute and answer the question?
Working world.
Sorry?
Building a better working world.
You're right, Shanmukha Priya. Congrats. And the last and final question. Tagline of below company, Pragna. Nilima, please unmute and answer.
Your home for health. Hello.
That's right, Nilima. Congratulations. And that sums up all the questions. All the winners are noted. And thanks for your participation. I'll hand over the session to the chairman Sikasa Srita Shirin ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you all the students who answered the question and for your active participation. Thank you, Sangram Krishna sir, for accepting our invitation to be the session chairman and spending your valuable time in spite of your busy schedule and detailed deliberation upon 4 days, upon 4 topics of this technical session. And having critical analysis of our students' presentations and guiding them and suggesting them where they are lagging. And I congratulate all the student speakers for presenting exceedingly well with detailed PPTs within allotted span of time. By the end of these 2 days, we will announce best paper presenters, and each student speaker will be received certificate of appreciation and token of gift from Vijayawada branch. Tomorrow also we will be having 2 technical sessions on company set and technology and motivation session with Dr. Murali Krishna. You can also listen from Central Council member and Conference Director MP Vijay Kumar sir, and can also get updates about the activities undertaken by the BOS for the benefit of the students by Dr. Mithali Patel. Please join us tomorrow also. Before concluding the session, I request Chairman of Vijayawada branch, C. Purnachandra Rao sir, to speak few words about the first day of conference.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. Sir, Ramakrishna, how are you?
Yeah, fine, sir. Thank you.
Sir, due to some other pressing these things, I could not, I was not able to hear to your session, sir, but I could join it. Last 30-40 minutes, I was silently listening to this session, but I was thoroughly enjoying. Yesterday, you were here in Vijayawada. I also got a feedback from few builders that you had an excellent session with Credai, team of Credai. Wonderful session. Sir. So, nice to have you here on this forum. Vijayawada branch always loves to host you, sir, as a resource person, be it for members or be it for students. So when you are planning for this event of this magnitude, when it came to indirect taxation, so immediately our thought goes to you only. So immediately myself and Sikasa Chairman Shirin Garu agreed for you to be the session chairman. And thank you for immediately accepting the same and to for acting as not only a session chairman, for disseminating your valuable knowledge, for sharing your thoughts with all the participants and the student delegates who have participated in the conference, sir. Thank you very much. And in future also we will plan much more programs, sir. And we seek for your support towards Vijayawada branch, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. In fact, the time was short. We can plan one dedicated session for the students on one particular area, so that we can share some knowledge with the students.
Definitely, sir. The idea will be well taken by the Shirin ma'am, and definitely we will implement that idea in near future immediately, sir. Okay.
Right. Thank you all the best.
I also thank all the student delegates who participated actively from morning 10 a.m. So with the same vigor, I request you all to join for tomorrow's also. Tomorrow, session 3 and session 4. Session 3 on companies law and session 4 on technology topics. So both Vijay Totapalli sir will be chairing session in the morning, and Saran Kumar sir will be chairing session in the evening. And also one exciting session we have planned. We have invited special invitee Murali Krishna Garu. So definitely, when I was a Sikasa chairman, when I look at Ramakrishna Sanghu sir will bring back the good memories. He was the opening batsman for my session actually when I was a Sikasa chairman in 2016. So I could remember the wonderful memories we had in the Chessai Kalyana Mandapam, sir.
That opposite DB manner, no?
Yes.
Yeah.
So with that, we have roped in Murali Krishna Garu. So he is also wonderful motivator of the students. So I request all the students to be attentive tomorrow also, like today, and note on the vital aspects touched upon by the various session, not only session chairmen and even the special invitee also. So with this, we'll wrap up. That's it from my side. Over to you, Shirin Garu.
Finally, we will have a vote of thanks from Secretary of Secretary Sikasa of Vijayawada branch, Puma Syamala.
Respected delegates, Chairman,
Vice Chairman, Secretary, Council Member, and attendees, and my dear friends. It's been a pleasure to thank all of you for being conducting this first day Pragna CA Student Conference without any distractions. First of all, I would like to propose hearty vote of thanks to our chief guest of the conference, CA Nihar N. Jambusaria, President of ICAI, for sharing his views about the way how students can easily reach their goals without any disturbances, as well as respecting our parents and elders' dedication towards studies. Thank you so much, sir. After that, I would like to thank our guest of honor for this conference, CA K. Jalapati, sir, Chairman of SIRC of ICAI, for attending this meeting and spending your valuable time for making our student conference very interesting, thoughtful, and provoking speech. Thank you so much, sir. I would also thank our guest of honor, CA Jayacharya, sir, Chairman, Board of Studies, BOS Operation, for sharing motivational words towards conference agenda and making us aware of worldwide knowledge. Thank you so much, sir. I would also thank special invitee CA Sarvana Prasad, sir, for deliberating upon techniques useful for cracking of CA exams. Moving towards the session chairman, I would like to thank them from bottom of my heart, CA Gururaj Acharya and CA Rangu Ramakrishna, sir. Thank you so much all for sparing your knowledge and time for us, making us trained and well developed. I congratulate all the paper presenters for their excellent presentation in this conference. I also thank all the students who attend the conference for your and make this program a success. And I also request you all present tomorrow's session also. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.